Previously, in the charity business, we ran a macro-environmental analysis of the charity sector. We first saw that charities are involved in all kinds of fields, from diseases research to educational fields through sports or music. Last year, the total sector accounted for $100 billion in the UK, which is approximately the revenue of Tesco, but a fourth of British Petroleum's. Charities usually try to be complementary, rather than in competition. Still, fundraising is highly competitive between more than 170,000 charities. Among the factors that influence the sector, we found that brand reputation is paramount to raise money, and technologies have completely revolutionized the sector through social networks and mobile donations. We chose the charity food cycle to run our strategic analysis.
Food cycle takes surplus food from supermarkets and combines it with volunteers and spare kitchen spaces in order to cook tasty, nutritious meals for people at risk of food poverty and social isolation. We work through the hubs, which use our triple donation model. Supermarkets donate the food, volunteers donate their time, and local partners donate a kitchen space. 3 years, we've gone from 2 hubs to 14. We now have more than 1,000 volunteers who have served over 40,000 meals to 3,800 beneficiaries.
Let's now take a look at the value network of food cycle. At the top of the chain, we find donors. As we saw, food cycle is based on a 3 donation model: food, time, and space. Instead of wasting food, food is recycled from supermarket leftovers and given through Fair Share, another charity that helps redistributing surplus food from industries. Also, donation of time from the 1,000 volunteers who participate in the everyday life of the charity, and donation of space through the use of spare kitchen to cook the nutritious and hot meals for the people in need. In addition, a main aspect of donation has to be mentioned, which is money. Money is coming from foundations grants, which account for 70% of the money collected by Food Cycle, companies, individual donors, and the government. All of those goods and volunteers are aimed at serving Food Cycle, which operates through 3 main clusters of activity: the hubs, the cafe, and the headquarters. The hubs are the reason for the creation of Food Cycle, that is to provide healthy meals in a warm environment to vulnerable groups. Now accounting for 16 all across the UK, they are run by 3 full-time employees, greatly helped by more than 950 volunteers. Food Cycle recently developed a successful model of a social franchise. Using the Food Cycle brand, these hubs have been able to quickly attract funding and volunteers. Eventually, the aim of the charity is to create as many hubs as needed in the UK, where isolated people do not eat properly, whereas food is being massively wasted next door. The cafe is also an important thing for Food Cycle. The community cafe nearby Stratford is managed by 3 full-time people. It sells healthy food made of surplus, of course, at a normal price to regular people. Thanks to the help of 100 volunteers, it is self-supporting, but is definitely not profitable enough to support hubs or any other kind of Food Cycle activities. Its main goal is social. The cafe provides work to help volunteers gain self-confidence, improve their communication aptitudes and their skills, such as cooking and serving meals. The idea is to promote return to work for people in difficulty. In the end, at the headquarters, 4 full-time employees run the whole charity. Let's not also forget external consultants who guide Food Cycle in improving their processes, their brand reputation, and value proposition. Let's go through a quick analysis of the internalization of the key activities. Hubs are local projects where volunteers are trained up to collect surplus food and cook it in spare kitchen. Considering volunteers are not being fully part of the organization, we concluded that getting food was externalized. Running the cafe and the hubs is on the one hand internalized because some employees of the charity are dedicated to it, and on the other hand, running the cafe and the hubs is an externalized activity because volunteers have a key role in it. Eventually, fundraising is led by the headquarters. Therefore, it is an internalized key activity.
We have identified the key resources and competencies that allow Food Cycle to perform its key activities. The strongest and most important is the core team. The 10 paid employees have the responsibility of settling guidelines for the operation run at the hubs and at the cafe. They also guide the volunteers in their tasks. The hubs are managed by volunteers, who represent the core resource of the charity. The ability of creating partnerships is vital for the organization, and every member of the team dedicates its effort to expand and strengthen these relationships. Cooking is also a strong competence of Food Cycle, even though the ultimate goal of the charity is not to serve 3-star meals. While donations given in the form of food or time are essentials, the charity needs money to pay its employees and suppliers, and as of now, the lack of funds prevents Food Cycle from launching new projects and taking more risks. But what do people really expect in return when donating to a charity? A research from 2010 suggests that while donors have different specific reasons to donate, they all want to support a cause that means something to them, and they want to understand the impact of their donation. Food Cycle. Do you hate food waste? For £17, help us transform 1 kg of surplus food into a 3-course meal.